All right, guys, decision is coming. It looks like it's going to probably be a straight-up cleanup by John Jones. I'm expecting 50-45. They might have gave Vince the first or second, maybe, but probably not. Guys are behind us over our shoulder. You can see it. Unanimous decision.
So my first question.
Interim. There's Dana, got the interim belt.
First question would be, what do you think he really looked like tonight?
I think that, it's tough because I don't think he looked like, traditional Bones, but he had some flashes. There was some time there where we saw what we normally see. Is he refusing his belt? That's an interesting thing. Does he not want to wear it, or are they bringing DC in, or what are we doing here? I wouldn't be surprised if they bring DC in. DC just the kind of pro wrestling low rent dude that would do an octagon walk-in. I'm not a fan of octagon walk-ins. I'll tell you that right from jump.
Well, do you think he declined it because of his performance? If he didn't feel like he deserved it on that because he kept on shaking his head, I don't think he was really. Well, there we go.
Bones does some crazy shit, man. He doesn't seem like he wants it. All right, let's see what he's got to say. What's up? So Bones is laying it down. He said 20% of his technique was used. We knew he wasn't going to be pleased with his performance.
I mean, we're talking about 13 months of being off and everything he's been through. It just seemed like he had a lot of things on his mind throughout the whole fight.
So he felt good physically. Listen, guys, that's really the key here. How does he feel moving forward physically? He did a lot of weird stuff coming out, hugged his entire family. This was kind of a get back into the octagon sort of thing. So if he feels good physically and if he feels like, there's no injuries coming out, he's probably going to get booked for UFC 200. It's probably going to be him and Cormier. They probably already have it in works. I'm surprised they haven't been in the octagon yet to announce it. It might be some money entanglements, but they need a main event. There you have it. So I think that he needed to go 5 rounds because he's going to go 5 rounds with DC. So the finish was there in the 4th. He just ran out of clock. So I think that's where the finish should have came. He probably should have got to it a little faster, and had he been, fully invested in. All right. Hold on, Rogan's talking. It'd be funny if he yelled into the microphone, Daniel Cormier, I got my shit together. Let's do it. See, Bones is funny, dude, because he's got a little bit of Pettis in him in the sense that he wants things to go down a certain way. He has that ego to him, so when things aren't materializing, and typically he can make those things materialize because he's head and shoulders above his opponents. When it doesn't happen, he's pretty good at adapting. He's so stoked with it. It's good to have him back, man. I mean, he's the true champ. He went 5 rounds. He probably needed to go 5 rounds. I don't think that he thinks he needed to go 5 rounds. I have no idea why they're interviewing Ovince St. Preux, except to give him some props and have him talk about how good John Jones fought. So, all right, let's get into it. What do you think?
I think it was a slow start. It was 13 months coming back, like I said before. He wasn't really comfortable. It didn't seem like I don't know if he was prepared for Daniel, and then he got this fight thrown to him. So I don't know if he was really that focused. He went in there, did what he had to do. Like I said, he kind of watched tonight. We didn't see all aspects of his game, but that's a good thing. He can adapt to anything. He can adapt if it's going to the ground, stand up. He's got those elbows. He has those different angles. He threw a lot of short kicks tonight. It wasn't his best performance, but he did what he had to do.
And I think that from a technique standpoint, he was so different than anybody OSP's ever seen. The thought that I kind of alluded to when we were sitting here watching the fight that I was going to bring up during the Periscope is this. Watching OSP try and figure out John Jones, and this is no disrespect to OSP, although it's going to sound like it. Watching OSP trying to figure out John Jones is like watching my 3-year-old try and do trigonometry. Like, it just isn't, the nomenclature isn't there, the vocabulary isn't there, the understanding isn't there. Now he stayed simple. You know, he's looking for those 1-2s. He was landing that straight left. That's smart. You know, that was the game plan. But trying to, play hand fighting with him and trying to get into more stuff than really, find your spots, look for your openings, keep it simple. He's throwing side kicks and he's doing, I think that he kind of came out of his comfort zone a little bit. And listen, like I said, Jones had him in the 4th. He just ran out of time. So, I mean, yeah, OSP had nothing to lose in this fight. So if you're him, it's an upside for you. But you
take OSP, and if you give him a great training camp, he kind of fell off in the later rounds. But props to OSP because he didn't go out. The time in the 4th, he ran out of time on that one. But in all said is done, is he can grow from this. OSP is not a bad fighter. He's a legitimate contender. He has power behind that. It's just he's fighting one of the best fighters in the world right now, and he just couldn't figure it out. And I think if John Jones would have been on his game, it might have been a different fight. But it's the whole thing. It's John Jones and Daniel Cormier, and kind of the rest of the pack. And he didn't do a bad job tonight, but it's just a different talent level.
And really, I mean, I always assess John Jones fights in this way. Throughout the night, how much? If you're asking who won, it was Bones by unanimous decision. So 50-45s across the board. John Jones. So, for me, I always say to myself, high-level fighters, even if they go to decision, how much was this person in danger throughout the night? And I don't really feel like Bones was in danger ever. I really didn't feel like he was ever, he got popped a couple times, but he got a young man's chin. So that's good for him. So I don't know. When I look at this fight, again, I take more good from it than bad because I think Bones had to go 5 rounds. If he comes out and closes out OSP in 1 round, he now has 5 rounds of assessment. He has 5 rounds of tape on himself. He has, all this information that you need to sort of figure out what's next for Cormier. How far, the biggest thing is that he could take from tonight is how far am I away from the guy that fought Daniel Cormier?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, that's the whole thing. How far you can go back and assess this. And like he said, he only used 20% of his fighting style and what the tools he has. And I think it's going to be we'll see a different Jones in that Daniel fight. Only because I think that's what he prepared himself for. That's what he wants. And this was, and all say and done, it's kind of like a warm-up fight. I mean, and he did what he had to do, and he really didn't have to exert himself. And he'll go back to the drawing board and be ready for the next one. I think you're right. It's going to be UFC 200. I think that's the main bout.
Well, the interesting thing is that this is the only sport where when you have a long break in your career, you go back into live fire. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're a quarterback and you miss 13 months, you're going to play in the preseason. If you're a baseball player, you're going to go to the minors. If you're a fighter and you miss 13 months and you're a high-level guy like John Jones, you're not going back in there against some chump. You're going back in there against a guy, who could take you out. So as you're starting to figure it out, you have to do it against one of the better fighters in the world. He's actually lucky that Cormier, in a sense, fell out of this fight because he'd be making his return against Cormier as opposed to OSP, and there's no time to really work the kinks out. So for me, it's all good for Jones. I mean, he wanted to have a finish because, he's Bones Jones and he sets the bar high, and we like to think that he can just sort of get dropped into the desert and build a city, and it's not going to happen. So I think that the things that he wanted to do were a little bit off throughout the night. And that's timing, that's time off. That's all kinds of things that you really can't control until you get in there and fight. I thought that the things that I like to see was viciousness in his strikes. He was as nasty as he ever been, content to kick your knee right off your goddamn leg. went to the body hard. He was just vicious in his strikes. Now, they weren't always where they needed to be, but he was vicious in them, and that's what you need to finish guys at this level. You need that viciousness, you know. And I thought he could have maybe choked out. When he got St. Preux's back, I thought he maybe could have found the choke, but he was near the cage, so who knows. So, spinning this thing forward, and we maybe have touched on this a little bit. What do you think this does for him as far as the next fight?
I think the next fight for him, I think he has to assess it. This is the fight he wanted to. I think there's a natural hatred between these two. The natural hatred is going to drive him to be better. And I think that's what he was looking for. So it's going to be just everything number one was, but I think it's even going to be twice as big, especially if it's UFC 200, because they're going to promote the shit out of it. And not only that, they're going to promote the hatred between them. There's going to be a lot of trash talking, and I believe that you're going to both see both of their A games.
Look at this. These dudes hate each other. They hate each other. I mean, you got to respect it. They hate each other. So what we just saw, and I don't know if you saw it over our shoulder, is that DC was leaving, Bones was leaving the cage, and he flicked off DC as he left. So is this, this is Ali Frazier, right? I mean, this is what, is this the Ali Frazier of the UFC, of all time? Because I have a different.
Of all time,
Chuck and Tito.
Man, Chuck and Tito. That might be number one. This might be number two, but it's going to be up there. You know what? This will set it over the top is if they do the UFC 200 tour, it might become number one.
Well, here's the thing that you got to remember too. That everybody always forgets about Ali Frazier. They say everybody needs a Frazier. I was calling Gustafson Jones's Frazier when he almost beat him. The thing you got to remember is, you're not Frazier until you beat Ali, because Frazier beat Ali in the first fight. Everybody forgets Frazier won the first fight. So Frazier is, you got to get a win, and you can't just get your ass whipped by John Jones twice and call yourself Joe Frazier. Right. That's not how it works. You know, I think the interesting thing about this is that Daniel Cormier is sort of carrying himself a certain way and sort of purporting himself. This guy never got a win. He won the belt in someone's absence, but he's walking around sort of. I get it, he's the champ, but he never beat John Jones. And where he derives some level of confidence in fighting John Jones from having never beat him, merely by getting the title, merely at beating Anthony Johnson and the belt happening to be on the line, being the thing that you derive your confidence from in fighting John Jones, I don't understand that. So, all right, let's spin it all the way back. Let's talk about the night as a whole. What did you think overall?
Overall, I think it was a great night. There were some great fights. We saw some upsets. We saw a champion that we talked about that deserves probably a huge payday and some super fights. And some of the fighters need to go back to the drawing board. Showtime Pettis, it wasn't his best performance. I think he's plateaued at some point. I think he needs to go back to the drawing board. But overall, the fights, it was a good fight night. The main event, again, John Jones. I just think we'll see a different John Jones tonight. He was in there to fill a slot almost, and he pulled through. But again, just another good card.
Yeah, and let's give props to John Jones if we're going to bust his balls about 151. And just real quick, if the guys watching who asked about the mic, the way this mic goes is it's a thing called an iRig, and it's plugged into a phone. So you know. So anyway, back to what we're saying. So he caught so much shit for ducking out of 151 when the opponent changed last minute. Didn't fight Hendo. No problem, buddy. So that for me, he should get equal. You know, we just talked about it earlier, and you guys can take this from my old man. It was his quote. You know, one-off shit ruins 1,000 attaboys. So if you don't do 151, nobody really gives a shit that you saved this card. And make no mistake about it, folks. He saved this card. Cejudo and Johnson didn't have the juice to get the and when I say save the card, I mean he saved it for the UFC, because the pay-per-view buys tonight and John Jones' return are way more substantial than they would have been just Demetrius Johnson fighting Samuel Cejudo. That's part of the problem. That's why Johnson doesn't get the big paydays for that reason. Side note: the gangsterest thing the UFC ever did was when they did the Reebok deal. DJ had a sponsorship deal with Microsoft. Did the Reebok deal. Microsoft deals out the window. These fools got a deal with Microsoft. It's like, I'm going to tell you that you can't have a deal with a company, and then just to show you what's up, I'm going to then take them as a sponsor. Like, how savage is that? But so anyway, some stuff's rolling in. You guys got questions about the card, you can certainly ask. The questions are a little bit different. We keep getting who won. Jones won, swept him, cleaned him out 50-45. Wasn't really in trouble. Ate a couple of big left hands from OSP, but that was about it. Slammed him a bunch of times. It was vintage John Jones in the sense that he controlled the octagon for the duration of the night, but he just wasn't sharp as he could be. John Jones uses a lot of unique techniques, so you have to be on the money with those, or it just looks sloppy. He didn't really look sloppy necessarily, but he just wasn't as sharp as he normally looks. All right, so let's talk Barbosa. We've had a little bit to sort of process him. What did you like about Edson tonight? We talked about it earlier, but what did you like?
His game plan. I like that he had a game plan to stay in the center of the octagon, not to chase Pettis, and he implemented it the whole fight. I think that was the smartest move. It was his best fight to date, and he did. When Pettis came in, he would counter. He had that left hand. He had those vicious kicks. I mean, if anybody has seen that Showtime Pettis leg on already, it is beat. So, right now that's his best fight.
I think Cormier's calling him out for 200 right now. Yeah, so it looks like God bless him. DC knows how to hype a fight against John Jones. He doesn't know how to win a fight against John Jones, but he sure as shit knows how to hype one. So he's calling him out. Just joined. What about Mighty Mouse? Could Google, but would like to hear your take. Sure. So Mighty Mouse looked good. I mean, he finished the kid in a round. I mean, Cejudo, he's a local guy here. I live in Phoenix, so he's a local guy to Phoenix. I interviewed him last week. He's got an Olympic medal that says he knows what the fuck's up when it's time to grapple a guy. DJ just cleared him out, dude. He decided, much like Ronda Rousey did against Sarah McMahon, I'm going to knee the body, and it was a knee that sort of crumbled him. I mean, he kneed the sternum. Kind of looked like the knee a little bit that Anderson did against Chael. Crumbled him. And then from there, it was sort of academic, finished him from the top. So what we were...
He looked good. I mean, from the beginning, what it was, too, he kept it in the center when they would clinch up, that he didn't go against the cage where he could drop down and get taken down. He got taken down that one time, worked his way back up, but he kept it in the ring, kept it close, did some dirty boxing, did some knees, and that was it.
So Cejudo, basically the way it is Cejudo took him down. But the thing about Jones, the thing about Mighty Mouse, the thing about, to an extent, RDA, the thing about these guys, and I won't extend it to Robbie Lawler, a little bit Luke Rockhold, but we'll go with DJ and Jones specifically for the point I'm trying to make. These guys can attack you on so many levels that it's hard to defend. So DJ can beat you a lot of different ways. Sure, you can out-wrestle him. Can you out-strike him? Can you outspeed him? DJ's good in scrambles. DJ's fantastic in scrambles. Maybe next to Frank Yeager, the best scrambler in the UFC. So when you have all that at your disposal, it's sort of hard for a guy to sort of outmatch you, you know? Was good. I don't know if you're talking about our insight or the fight. Johnson's performance. Exactly. Since they're both stud, we'll just, have them all encompassing. So, yeah, like I said, DJ, the next thing for him, TJ and I agree, it's got to be super fights. Has to be, you got to give the guy a Cruz. He lost to Cruz at 35 back in the day, went down to 25, created the flyweight division. He's been the only champion. Laugh out loud, we going on TV? Should be. So, yeah, that's his only loss ever. So you got to let the kid clean it up. You got to, and plus that's a hell of a fight.
Show me the money.
Right.
You got to show the kid the money. Super fight. Go up there, revenge that loss. He's a different fighter than he was back then when he lost to Cruz. You got to put him in the ring, and everybody wants to see it. Get him paid, do a super fight, and let that division work itself out with a different champion.
And shouts to Carla Esparza, too. She came back. She took care of Lima. Just rocked her. I mean, she was just the fight was hers throughout. So she looked good. As far as performance bonuses tonight, if we were going to speculate on them, obviously you give one to who's the kid earlier? Escaping me.
Oh, that beat
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
So Rodriguez beat Feely. He'll probably get one. They'll probably just an excuse to throw Bones another 50 G's. They'll probably give him performance of the night because he's the champ. And oh no, I guess you got to give one to DJ. So DJ will probably get knocked out of the night.
Or fight of the night.
Yeah, fight of the night.
That kid he's on a different level.
I think you probably just keep the champs happy tonight, the studs. You know, give a performance of the night to Bones, give a performance of the night to DJ, throw the young kid $50,000 for the knockout, and close the checkbook, call it a night. You know, so in summation, go ahead and put a period. You know what? Let's go old school. TJ Craig, UFC 197, finish strong.
My finish strong. Edson Barboza. I think the kid had a great plan that he executed to the T. I mean, it was flawless. Worked the center of the ring, worked that jab, worked the shit out of those kicks, and kept him at bay. And Anthony had no answer for him. Pettis had no answer. He just was different. And I think Barboza, it catapulted him up to a different level where he'll get a big fight next time. And that's my finish strong.
I'm with you, and shout out to Mark Henry. We had him on the Sunday Morning Corner, man. He obviously is a huge part of Edson Barboza's game for the simple reason that Edson's a different fighter now. So as he's sort of evolving, training with Frankie Edgar and going through all that, you start to see that, Edson Barboza 5 years ago maybe presses, maybe looks for a big highlight knockout, or maybe looks for – and, dude, I can't stress enough the discipline to stay your ass in the middle of that octagon and let Pettis come to you for 3 rounds. It's all great. It all sounds great. All right, we'll get to it. I see it. I see your question, Conor McGregor. We'll get to it. So, yeah, it takes a lot of discipline to stay your ass in the center of the octagon and have your guy come to you. All right, TJ, we haven't talked in a while. Let's get into it. Conor McGregor, your thoughts?
Man.
Hold on. Let me tee you up in a proper way. That was a little disrespectful of me to just say, Conor. You guys expect more than that. You're tuned into this Periscope. You expect a better question. I will ask it to you this way. If you are Conor McGregor, is the impotence on you to promote a fight? And if you're Conor McGregor, you can promote fights in a lot of different ways, mind you, so the question is loaded. Or is it to make sure you don't lose to Nate Diaz again? What is the priority?
The priority to me is that I do not lose again. It's not my take. If you want to spend money on me to promote a fight, if you want to spend $10 million like they're talking about, there has to be some regulations, because what I've been doing before obviously cost me a fight the last time, doing all these press conferences, talking all this trash. It's time to go back to focus. I'm a fighter. That's what you pay me to do. You pay me to get in the middle of the ring and to bring everybody, because I'm an exciting fighter. You can promote me now. I'm big enough across the world that you can promote me, and I don't have to be at every single location to do that. Stand your ground. I think I personally wouldn't back down a little bit. I need to focus on my game plan. I need to focus where I can win again, and that's what I want to do.
I'm going to say this, and it's sort of a silly analogy, but I'm going to use it because I love silly analogies. But it's kind of like, let's say you're a basketball player, and you're making a shitload of money. Let's say you're LeBron James. You're making a shitload of money. You're the best player in the league. And you happen to have a local show that you do for the Cavaliers, right? And you do the show, and you show up, and they interview you and all that. And they're going to bench you in the playoffs because you were late to your show or didn't show up. It's like, dude, I use this all the time, and it's kind of a joke. Dana White, you're focusing on the wrong part of the story, buddy. The story is, can he get in there and avenge this loss? The reason you booked this fight was from to avenge this loss. So if he goes there and gets waxed again, he's not going to be promoting anything. No one's going to give a shit about Conor McGregor. So you got to let this guy get back there and avenge the loss. So that means you got to fly your ass to Iceland. And I know that the UFC's made some concessions. They talked about flying some equipment for him, flying his trainers out from Iceland to Vegas. You got to let this guy do his thing. I know that you said, hey, and Dana's excuse was, listen, the fight's 3 months away. Let this guy do his thing, man. Let this guy do his process.
There can be a happy medium for both of them. I mean, you don't have to fly him to all locations. You don't have to demand that he be there. There's enough fighters on that card that you can work it out where other people can be there. Let him do what he does. Let him train. He can promote the fight from Iceland. That's what he wants to do. He needs to avenge that loss, so let him do that.
Well, here's my thing, too. The whole notion that you would go to a press conference and tell me, well, look, everybody showed up for this press conference. Guess what? They're not the reason why you're going to get 2 million buys for UFC 200. They're not. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Claudia Gadelha, great fight. Guess what? It's a tough finale. 2 days before UFC 200. RDA Eddie Alvarez, great fight. Guess what? It's on Fight Pass. And I'm not saying you're not trying to push Fight Pass, Dana, but it's on Fight Pass. If you could make paper off of that fight, you'd make paper off of that fight. That would be the headliner. Simple solution. They're already lined up, so put somebody else on Fight Pass and then put them on 200 if they make you so much money and they're there promoting and they're doing the press conferences and all that. And besides the fact, his opponent and his opponent's brother, when the hell have they ever showed up for a press conference? Those two assholes are fine. Yeah, Nick lost a title fight, but, I mean, come on. It's the old thing where you can't tell everybody that's listening, I'm different, and then tell everybody that's listening I'm the same. You spend half your time saying I'm different, and the other half saying, you got to show up for a press conference.
It's a double standard. Yes. Big time. Straight double standard, and you can't do that. I mean, you were riding the wave because this guy is globally known and it made you a lot of money. Now you're riding his coattails. You know, you can pay him back a little bit and have a happy medium so he can avenge his loss.
Exactly. And I think, listen, I'm going to say this, guys, if you're watching and you really want to know the deep weeds about MMA, there may be more to this. It may not be a Conor McGregor issue. It may be a MMA issue. And Dana White does, every time something happens again, it's always worse than the first time. So back in the day, there was Tito Ortiz, and Tito Ortiz did well, and he had some level of control in the thing. And then there was Randy Couture. And now Randy Couture was saying, I want the rights to my likeness. And all these guys that you have issue with, Dana, it's because along the way, they started wanting to get paid in a different way, and you had a problem with that. And I respect that. You have the right to do that. But my point to you is this. I think that he's trying to suppress this from creating a monster. Every time it gets in Dana's eyes worse. Tito beget Chuck, beget Connor, or Bones, however you want to talk about between Randy, not Chuck, correct me there, Randy and Connor, it kept getting worse.
Right.
So they don't want the next guy to be worse than this guy.
Right. That's true. I mean, so where do you created a monster. You did it. Right. You let him run with everything that he's supposed to do, and you let him run with it. And now you're trying to pull the reins in. You just can't do that.
And guess what? Here's what it is at the end of the day. What it is at the end of the day is you can either, guess what? The $10 million you thought you were going to spend on promotion is done. Connor did a tweet. And you've now promoted the fight sufficiently. Right. The guy's on every Good Morning America, Mike and Mike, he's everywhere. So don't worry about your $10 million. It's safe. Okay? At this point, unless you book the fight, everybody's a loser. That's the thing that Dana seems to be missing in this from my perspective. Everyone loses if Conor doesn't fight Nate at 200. Nate loses, Conor loses, Dana loses, fans lose. So what's the point? Like, what have you accomplished by having him not fight? Other than suppression of future, MMA free agency and guys sort of using leverage to get more money and all that. I understand that, but to me it's just this is not the time to make a stand.
Yeah, don't make a stand. We want to see the fucking fight. The fans want to see the fight. Conor wants to fight. Diaz wants to fight. Let's do it. Fuck the rest. You're gonna sell. You're gonna sell enough. I mean, point blank. You're gonna sell the fucking fight. It's UFC 200. You're gonna get pay-per-view buys. Just let it go.
You are, but the difference is: are you gonna get 1.3? Or are you gonna get 2.3? You want to get 2.3, Dana? You gotta show that Irishman the Lucky Charms, dog. You gotta let that kid get to the end of that rainbow.
Let him eat.
Let him eat. And and listen, he calls you guys business partners, and that's the case. And if you're viewing Conor McGregor as just another fighter, Conor McGregor's the reason why it was okay Ronda Rousey lost. Do you know how in bad shambles you would have been if Rousey lost and you had no McGregor? Now you got Bones on probation. Dana, listen, I love the kid as a fighter. You think Robbie Lawler's going to do this? You're not talking to GSP because you want to just chit-chat with GSP. You're talking to GSP because you need guys that are going to put asses in seats and turn TVs on. Okay, here's the short list. I'll keep it simple for you. Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar, George St. Pierre, Conor McGregor. That's it. That's the short list of guys that will get you 1 million views. That's the short list. Bones. Let me tell you something. You want a reality check? Two of the best fighters in the UFC just fought, John Jones and Demetrius Johnson. Check the pay-per-view buys on Monday. Check them. I bet you they're not over 750,000. Maybe they're 600. Maybe they're 5. I'll give Bones 500 with no support. So you throw DC in there. My guess would be 650.
That's about right. About 650. That's where I would go with it.
Right. So if that's what you're going to get with the two best fighters in your promotion on the card together, Main and Co. Legit. I don't want to say about legit contenders, but Cejudo was the guy you thought. OSP was a fill-in, but Jones is coming back. So let's say OSP's not as good of a threat to Jones as we thought. Well, Jones was out for a while, so it sort of levels the playing field a little bit. So my point is that two best fighters, 657, 750. All right, I'll give you 800. You're still 200. Do the math. 50 buys at 200 apiece. You do the math. That's what I'm saying. So at 200 apiece, at 50 apiece, and then we both know pay-per-views are not 50, they're 60 or whatever they are. Times the 200,000 difference between a Conor and a Jones fight. That's what you're looking at. And don't let it be $1 million. Don't let it be Conor could get you over $2 million and you only get $1 million for UFC 200. So I don't know. For me, it makes a lot of sense. All right, we're about to shut this thing down. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and shoot them out now. Any questions at all? Where we're at, what we're doing, what's next. So where you can find us, always at the Hot Cage Daily. You can follow that Twitter. I write for Combat Press, and there is a MMA discussion on Facebook. So it looks like no questions are rolling in. I'm all out of, hold on, we got UFC needs a union regardless or something similar. These guys need to get what they deserve. I understand that, but
It's a whole different discussion.
it is a whole different discussion, and it's probably not going to happen, my friend. I hear you. I'm with you. I interviewed John Fitch for the World Series of Fighting. He's a huge advocate for a union. I don't know. It's going to take somebody really.
There's too many people in high. There's too many people in high places that will stop that, and will never let that to happen. And until you get somebody, until you get a turnover on the UFC, something that happens long down the road, you're not going to see a union.
And here's the thing: a figure that I heard recently that I don't even know if you've heard. I had never heard it before. It was interesting to me. So boxers get 50% of the gate,
Right.
and the UFC fighters, take a guess.
Only the top two. Only the headliner gets a part of it.
We'll say on average.
On average, how much? Probably 10. I'll say 10%.
13%. You're right there. 13% the UFC fighters get from the gate, and boxers get 50. So that's the discrepancy. That's why a guy like Floyd Mayweather can fight like a bum. And, Floyd Mayweather figured it out, man. He figured the game out. Exactly what Conor McGregor's doing right now. You tune in to either watch Floyd Mayweather get his ass whipped or whip somebody's ass, and everybody's right down the middle. The same amount of people that tune in to watch him win are the same amount to watch him lose. Probably more to lose. So as these guys are becoming polarizing figures, Bones is doing some stuff that's a little, outside of the 13% total for all fighters. I think it's on average, but that's that's only
two. So sometimes it's only the headliner who gets that percentage.
Right. So you figure it out like this: if a gate, let's say, if the total take of a fight is $30 million, all right, can they pay the purse in 10? Right. So if you add up everybody that's on a card, could that be $3 million? That's the math. You see what I'm saying? So from top to bottom. So if your top guy's making 500 G's, and the next guy, 50,000 or. Here's the thing. I'm pretty certain the guy behind us is trying to video bomb us and not make it obvious. He has no reason to be behind us. Watch. Here he comes. Here he comes. He's coming. He's coming. Here he comes. What's up, buddy? No, I didn't see this coming at all. This wasn't a mile away. What's up?
Bob. How you doing, man?
Sure.
It's now or never, brother, but...
Okay, what do you got?
Take care of this. What are we gonna do?
What's up?
What are we doing here?
What is this?
Yeah.
So I write for an MMA website, and this is a thing called Periscope through Twitter. So I'm broadcasting this out to people that are on Twitter.
You want me to tell you who's going to win, blah, 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 whatever?
Well, the fight just ended. You mean another fight?
Shit.
What do you want to? Whatever you want to tell me.
Well, I'll tell you right now. Let's see.
Okay. No, he's fine. He's great. He's great. He's perfect. He's perfect. This is the big moment, but I need to know what. No, well, first of all, let's make it official. Come on, like in here. I gotta see you. So what's the big thing that I need to know?
All right, you're talking about UFC 200.
Yes, I am.
All right. Bottom line is, Conor McGregor. No,
Yeah, but they gotta. Come on, you can't be that handsome and not be on the camera. You're gorgeous. Let's do it.
Oh, it don't matter.
Conor McGregor, tell me.
He's a punk ass bitch. Plain and simple. Plain
Okay.
and simple. You know it. You know it. We all know it.
Why do you think? So?
I'm a big fan of Diaz brothers. Doesn't matter if it's Nate, Nick, whoever.
Right.
Honestly, it should have been 200 Nick Diaz, Robbie Lawler, because if you remember it, Nick Diaz knocked Robbie Lawler out early.
Cold and straight.
Oh yeah, exactly. So therefore, Nick Diaz should have fucking whooped on Robbie Lawler here. Plain and simple. And Conor McGregor, you know what? Plain and simple. We all know it. We all see it. If he doesn't do nothing about it, fuck him. He's a punk ass bitch. You know what? You know what? Plain and simple. Here's the bottom line.
Stand over there, talking to a microphone and talking to you.
Nate Diaz will kick fucking Robbie Lawler's ass. Nate and Nick Diaz will kick Robbie Lawler's ass. One. Two, Conor McGregor's a fucking punk ass bitch for fucking running his mouth. You know, hey, I can run my mouth. I'll run my mouth.
Wait a second. Now I gotta stop you. I don't believe that you can run your mouth. I gotta stop you there.
All right, how about this? I'll take both of you outside and fucking bust both your asses out. It's plain and simple. I'll kick your ass and your ass. If you don't believe me, let's fucking do something about it. You know, here's the thing. Nate and Nick Diaz are both prime UFC fighters, know what's going on. They've been around a long time. They know what's going on. They're not punk-ass bitches. They know what's going on. You know what? Bottom line is, here's it. I don't want to fight him. No one else wants to fight him. Nobody else wants to fight him because if they do...
Talking about the Diaz brothers.
Yeah, Diaz brothers. Nobody wants to fight him because if they did, they'd be up here right now and they would say, hey, let's get it on. No one says it is. Diaz brothers will kick anybody's asses. Plain and simple. Thank you, brother.
All right, man. Good job.
Don't leave me hanging.
Hey, if I got something else to say,
That's it. There you go. That's how you shut it down. All right, buddy. Take it easy. He's fine. He's awesome. He's good. Well, there you have it.
You should have seen the comments on the below. Choke him out, kick him in the nuts. We're two sober guys here in a bar. So,
His wife was a sweetheart. That was the deal. His wife was sweet. The last thing because here's the thing. You take a guy out like that and kick the shit out of him, and then you just hand his wife a problem for the rest of the night, you know? You got to give it to him, man. Two young guys in shape, and he was running his yap. God bless him. Would have been the worst night of his life, but fuck it.
behind you.
Could have at least found a hot chick or something. I know. Listen, he had the balls to come up. You don't want to listen to a hot chick talk about MMA, trust me. I've listened to a lot of hot chicks talk about MMA, and you don't want to do it. Trust me.
That was a pork chop.
He was. God bless him. Those are the guys, though. Listen, let me tell you about those guys. Those are the guys that you got to toss such a severe beating. That guy's not going out until you got to put him out. You got to put him out. That's the kind of guy that you drop and, like, sort of leave him. And you're like, all right, buddy, you've had enough. And you're, like, getting into your car, and he's knocking on your window. He's still trying to get in him. So he's right where he should be. All right, guys, that's pretty much going to do it. We said we had to say it's a wrap. Follow the what do we got? I slap him. Maybe, man. He seems like he's looking to get in some shit tonight. He can find it with two other desperados. Not these two. I got bigger fish to fry. So, yeah, like I said, follow.
It was a good reuniting tonight. How about that?
It was, man. Listen, so just to give you guys a little bit of the history, this was the original Hot Cage Daily, Hot Cage podcast. Haven't done it in years. It's on YouTube if you want to see how we used to really throw it down. Met Jason Cruz through that, met Adam Martin through that, a bunch of great guys. Had a lot of fun. May soon, someday be resurrected. We'll have to see. So, we'll check it out. We'll see what's what. But for now, if you guys got questions, MMA Discussion is where they can be placed at the Hot Cage Daily, and we'll catch you guys some other place, some other time, some other drunk guy. Peace.
Go out south. Keep your hands up.
Keep your hands up and your chin down. Reunited of the Hot Cage Podcast. Peace.